All right, India versus England Test Series 2025. The squad preview. The India squad has been named, and we have two gigantic holes in the squad that needed to be filled. The missing Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma, who are both retired from Test cricket. And now we have the Prince ascended to the throne, the new captain of Team India, Shubhman Gill. Ishan, first thoughts.
Well, before we get to Gill, let's talk about the omissions. No
Yes,
Sharma, no Kohli, but I would like to also add no Ravichandran Ashwin. Those three
can't forget
usually
him.
can't forget them. Those three usually in any marquee series, test series, they're always in there. And sometimes even if you put their numbers to the side, it's just the experience and the credibility that always is so important to the squad. So definitely a big miss for Team India on that front there. On Shuman Gill, I think it's a bold call, but I think as the one chapter ends and a new chapter opens, you do have to make some bold calls. I know there was discussions of potentially Bumrah becoming Test captain, but there was obviously some concerns about his match fitness and if he would be playing all the games. And then there was obviously Rishabh Pant in contention as well. And I just think that perhaps Rishabh Pant isn't at the best mentally right now when it comes to captaincy and all that, especially with what's going on in the IPL. So I think if you were to look at the squad and, you know, um, even if you look past KL Rahul, because in my opinion, I don't think he wants the captaincy. I think Shuman Gill is perhaps the right call. It was time to make a bold call, and only time will tell if it goes through. Because if it goes well, it's a great sort of transition. If it doesn't, Team India has a lot of other players who are of leadership quality. So all in all, I think it's a good and bold call for Team India. What are your thoughts on that, Karan?
I think bold call is the right word because I think he's still finding his feet. I know he's played a bunch of test matches already, but he doesn't have the average of a person that has a lock in the squad,
Especially
especially
in
a
Sena.
team
In Sena.
India's. Yeah, especially a team in Team India. So it is a bold call. It is essentially the selectors saying that, hey, we trust you, that you will perform well and consistently and continue to do so. And they've taken the sample size of the last year. He has improved. He had a few hundreds in some crunch situations, some good knocks in crunch situations the past year. He's shown obviously good mettle as a captain in the IPL. I know it's the IPL, and I know Ajit Agarkar said that too. I know it's the IPL, but I think there's still weight in handling pressure situations, right? Because that still translates to any format. So
Yep.
the selection is bold. I don't know if I agree with it myself. I would have
Okay.
liked to see KL Rahul as the captain. I have a
Hmm.
feeling he may have said no. I have
Yep.
a feeling that he probably denied. It's very interesting because there was a recent interview on the Sky Sports Network between KL Rahul and Nasser Hussain, and I don't know if maybe it was mentioned, maybe they cut it off, but there was never once was a question asked about potential captaincy for Team India in the test team. And I thought that was very interesting. I have a feeling this is me speaking about my thoughts and opinions on what I'm seeing in the tea leaves. And I just have a feeling that I think he just wants nothing to do with captaincy anymore. I think he just wants to enjoy his cricket and enjoy his family life after. Just from watching the video, just seeing how he has been in the past couple of years, he's been really performing well as a batter in any format for India, and he's been very consistent. And I think the captaincy might add a burden to him, and I think that's how he feels about it. So I would have liked to see him. I think he deserves to be captain, but if he didn't want to do it, kudos to him. That's his decision. And then it makes it hard. So now I
That's
see
hard.
then I see Shubman Gill as the option because Jasprit Bumrah did extremely well when he captained, but there's the thing about him being on the field,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
do understand the point of view of you can't have a captain that's only there for two or three test matches out of a
Yeah.
five test match series, right? And
Hmm.
so then you're left with Shubman Gill and Rishabh Pant and I don't know who else. Maybe a Ravi Jadeja, but I don't know. I don't know about Ravi Jadeja because he hasn't done the best whenever he's gotten captaincy in any format. Uh, Mainly it's been T20. But I don't see who else would lead that team. So you're kind of stuck with Shubman.
Maybe Team India needed to stick with aggressive captains and put on Mohammad Siraj. I'm just kidding.
Can you imagine? Have a bowler as a guy, Lord Shardul. Lord Shardul
Lord
as a captain.
Shardul.
Gee. Yeah, so I think they were kind of stuck, and
Yeah.
I was watching another show on Star Sports, I think it was. I don't know who it was, but it was former selectors. I believe it was Kiran More, and I forget who the others were on, but someone on that show said that India definitely did not prepare for this situation well,
No.
right? And I feel that is a talking point that isn't being talked about. Like to be in a situation where you're kind of caught off guard and you gotta pick a captain and you're forced to pick someone who, again, as I said, as a batter alone, is still an unproven commodity in the test game because his stats, his numbers don't justify a permanent spot yet, right? So you're kind of stuck between Shubman Gill and Rishabh Pant. And Rishabh Pant, there's been all this talk about him being a captain and not being as good a a player when he has the captaincy as well, right? So it's super interesting. And like, what do you have to say about that conversation about India not preparing well for the situation?
No, and I think you raised such a good point because that's also been some of the stuff that I've been reading, some of my thoughts as well. If you were to ask me, and it's just my opinion of the entire situation, I think they looked at, I think if you were to go back a few months, I think the way that they were looking at the leadership camp for the England series, I think they would have expected Rohit Sharma to stick as captain for the series. And I think they would have then put in Shubman Gill or kept or have Rishabh Pant as a vice captain, sort of helping try and have that implicit transition. Now Rohit Sharma retired. Then I think immediately there was some maybe early thoughts of Kohli having a captaincy and then one of those players being his vice captaincy. But and Team India does not do that. They do not have players come back as captain who were demoted. So that was, I think, a messy situation. And then obviously, then with the exclusion of Virat Kohli, to your point, you're left with a void, and you're left with 15 plus players who are inexperienced in the sense of having a leadership role, right? So when you have a coterie of players who are, don't get me wrong, great players, but there's not a clear distinct captain, you're left with, okay, do I give the captaincy to an experienced player, or do I make, as we mentioned earlier, a bold call and really try to make someone grow into captaincy? I think try to
Yeah.
do that with Shuman because, you've heard the media as well. The prince is gonna, carry the baton, XYZ. I think to your point, I think they could have, I think they wanted to make that decision for Shimon Gill later on, but they were forced to make that decision earlier on
Yeah.
for this series.
I think so too. I think they were forced. There was a left field idea that I heard. I think it was Harsha Bogle that said this,
Of course, it's
where
Harsha. Of course, it's Harsha.
but it's a valid idea, and it was the idea of bringing in Ajinkya Rahane for the Test series and have him as a captain in the interim, while maybe you have a Shubman Gill. You don't like it at all, do you?
Might as well bring Pajara back. Might as well bring Pajara back too.
I thought because Ajinkya Rahane low key is an underrated captain. He for the times that he captained India, he was really good. And low key, I was
100%.
like, oh, I see some validity in that because you can have some experience, an experienced head, and then Shubman Gill could learn from that, and then maybe you have Rahane for a couple of series, and then if he performs, you keep him in. But if he doesn't perform, okay, thank you for your service, and then Shubman Gill takes the captaincy.
Oh, man, first of all, Harsha, Harsha, Harsha,
I
Harsha. you can't dismiss this guy's brain. He thinks of so I wouldn't have thought of that, to be quite honest with you. But hey,
Yeah.
it is a thought. I do see some of the merit behind it, but I think, as we said, it was that you're about to turn the page over in the book. But I think
Yeah.
if you kept Rahane, you would have maybe gone back a few pages. But I think it's better to just flip it over and just start it off. And hey, if it's a bad beginning, let it be. We've witnessed some very disastrous Team India test squads,
Yeah.
getting absolutely killed by an innings here and there. It's a transition period, so I think we do have to taper our expectations a little bit,
Absolutely.
right? But I think in this new day and age, and to perhaps even build confidence for Shubman Gill, say we trust you. Let's see what you can do, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure with Gill being close to Kohli, I know we've seen that in a lot of interviews. I'm sure there's some conversations and some back channel talk about that, because at the end of the day, I do feel like Kohli would want Shubman Gill to succeed. So hopefully, with that and some of the other support around him, he's able to really, you know, uh, perform and captain well. What were your thoughts? Or did you want to see Rahane back? For who? Who do you replace?
No, no, I like the idea, but I don't think I would go with the idea
Yeah,
of
fair, fair,
that.
fair.
I absolutely agree that you're going back a few pages in the book when you do that. It's like a horses for courses change, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And I think you have to, and that would instill that would lower the confidence in the squad that
yeah,
you have, and for someone like a Shubman, I think it would mean a lot to him if either way, if he wasn't made or if he was made, and by making him captain, you're showing him, hey, we have faith in you, we believe in you, we trust in you, we believe that you can lead India for a long time, and you know, let's see how he goes. We can just be there to support him, as fans, and kudos to him for getting to a position that a lot of Indian players don't, and he's going to be in the conversations of the greats in the game:
yeah.
Sunil Gavaskar, Tiger Patadi, Dhoni,
Couple Dave.
Tendulkar, Ganguly, Kapil Dev. Like, he's going to be in that conversation as a captain of Team India, and I think that's he's never going to that's never going to be taken away from him.
No, a
So
hundred percent, a
we can
hundred
just wish
percent.
him the best.
No, 100%, 100% on that front. So now, I guess when it comes to the wider squad, what are your
Yes.
thoughts on sort of the inclusion for the big series in
Yeah.
England?
Yeah, let's talk about the batters. So I want
Yes.
to start with the batters because I think we've had some snubs here. I like the selections. All right. I feel there's too many openers in here.
Oh yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're looking at the selections of, obviously, Shubman Gill, Jaiswal, KL Rahul has been your top three in the last year or so,
Yep.
with Rohit being in and out or whatnot. And now you've added Abimanyu Iswaran and
Yes.
Sai Sudarshan. I like both
Yes.
selections. I think Iswaran has been like consistent in Ranji Trophy, and Sai
100%.
Sudarshan has just been like dropping everybody's jaws in any format lately. And I think he's just warranted in the squad just from his style of play. I think he's adaptable in any situation, any condition. He's definitely super talented. And so I guess the question becomes: is this five players fighting for two spots, or is it five players trying to figure out what that top 4 or 5 is going to be? Because that's going to be super interesting. Because I think punt is going to be a lock at either 5 or 6, right?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And then uh, all rounders will talk separately. But in that top 6, punt's going to have one spot, right? So the other 5, sorry, is going to be made up of these players. Dhruv Jurel is backup for punt, and unless all the other batters get injured or get sick, he's not playing unless
Nope.
punt has a problem, right?
Yep. Yep.
And
Yep.
so,
Yep.
and then shout out to Karun Nair making a comeback. So you got him in the squad. So it's going to be interesting how they pick this top 6.
No, and I think that's definitely going to be a headache. And I think we can also expect the top six to change as we go through each test match, potentially based on how people are performing and whatnot. I think, to your point, I think you're right about where um where Rishabh Pant would be batting at, and I think we could pretty much lock as well Jaiswal. I think Jaiswal's going to
Yeah,
open
yeah.
for sure, for
He's
sure.
he's taking one spot for sure. Yeah,
One spot for sure, right?
100%. So that's two
So
out of six.
that's 2 out of 6, right? So then, how do you? So then the question comes: who opens? Let's start there. Who opens with Jaiswal? Who do you think opens with Jaiswal? Because
Oh man.
I'll say a few options here. We do have Sai Sudarshan, another
Yeah.
left-hander. IPL has been opening with Gill, so maybe in the back, do Gill and Sai Sudarshan open up? I probably don't think so in tests because I think you would want Gill coming one down, right? So in my eyes, I think it's Jaiswal, and my gut tells me KL Rahul would open as
Okay.
well,
Okay.
but that's my gut. But I would
Okay.
want KL Rahul to come at least two down for that comfort.
Okay. Okay.
So those are just my thoughts. So if you would ask me, I would like Jaiswal, Nisar Darshan, uh,
Well, you're giving a
Shubman
debut.
Gill,
You're giving a debut
Sh-
to Sai Sudarshan.
Shubman Gill.
All right. So I've been watching a lot of videos on the squad, and there's been so many different talking points and discussions around who's going to be India's top four. And no one has really been able to pinpoint what it's going to be. I think we're all going to be surprised when the first test match plays. Uh, but if I were to pick my top four, this is how I would pick it. Yashasvi Jaiswal is definitely a lock. And
Nice.
then for me, number two, I'm with you. Sai Sudarshan, I think he's gifted. He's definitely gifted. I think he has like a 10, 15, 20 year career. Not 20, he's 23. I'd say at least a 10-year career in him.
Yeah.
And he has the ability to score 10,000 runs easily in Test match cricket. So I would give him a go at the other opening slot. And that's if you're comfortable going with two left-handers. If you want a
I know
right-hander,
I know
yeah,
Gigi is not a fan of the
yes,
left hand, or sorry, he's a fan of left hand right hand combination, but if both of us are saying it, you got to listen to our podcast, Gigi.
yeah. So I'll give you. So I have two combinations in mind. Okay,
Okay,
and I'm
okay,
and I'm not. I wouldn't be upset with either. Okay, I
okay.
wouldn't be
Let's hear
upset
it.
with either.
Let's
So
hear
my
it.
first combination is Jaiswal, Sai Sudarshan. At one down, I got KL Rahul, and number four, I got Shubman Gill. Shubman
Okay,
Gill, number four, because long term position. I think he'll be well suited to take over the mantle. And then KL Rahul at one down. Sucks to be KL Rahul. You get chopped around everywhere. But I think he'll do really well at number three. I'm also not upset with Shubman at three and KL at four. And
okay.
from the standpoint of KL Rahul, give him something, right? Give him something that he deserves. I think number four is such a pivotal spot. And I think it's also that spot where you are hidden from the new ball for the most part, right? And you get to play when the seamers come on their second spell, or you play the spinners, which generally is easier to play, especially when you're playing in England conditions, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think he deserves to come in at number four, given how much he's done for Indian cricket. So I wouldn't be upset with either of those. I think all four of them are going to be in that top four. I just don't know how that combination is going to be. Um, Ideally, I would like KL Rahul at four.
Okay. No, I think that's fair. I think more or less we are thinking to the same approach, which is always great to hear. I'm just gonna spit some combination. I'm gonna spit one combination out, and you let me
Yeah,
know your thoughts on it. Okay.
yeah.
Indian Test opening pair equals Gujarat Titans opening pair.
Sai
Yes or
Sudarshan and
no?
Shubman Gill?
Yes or no?
No, because you can't play Jaiswal anywhere else.
Okay, fair.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
we do fair, Jesswell has proved as an opener, he has down under and sort of. I think he played in South Africa as well. I think that was a light season
Since
from
his
him, but
debut. Since
since his
his debut.
debut, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't see how you take him out of that. Like he's a lock. I think he's a lock. I think the only way is if he's injured,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
right?
Okay, so top
So
four, I think we were locked. So let's
good
go.
try, good
Well,
try.
do you want to go down the line? So you want to talk about 5, 6, 7?
Um, yeah. So I have an alternative for you because I like your
Okay.
question. So
Okay.
I like your out of the box thinking. So I have an alternative. Jaiswal, Easwaran, opening. One down, Sai Sudarshan. Number four, Shubman Gill.
Shubman Gill and 5
Punt at
Gill.
5 or
Oh,
KL at
punt at
5.
5.
And then
Okay.
6 KL or punt, however you want to play that.
And then I guess I'll answer that question, but just to clarify, there's no
Yeah.
room for Gardner in that. No,
No.
right? Okay.
In
Okay.
that lineup, no.
In that lineup, no. I'll be honest with you. I was very, very intrigued by the top four because I think there is potential merit in that, especially with Eastbourne coming in. But I think with the inclusion of Gardner, I think he needs to have a spot in the middle order. I think just sort of the form he's been in, the format, test format, I think you gotta at least put him somewhere in the middle. I don't know where, but I think you gotta make room for him. But unfortunately, I think Eastbourne may miss out. But I like that. I like the thoughts. What was your approach on that? Could you
Wait,
see
so
that?
so you see Nair playing in the 11?
I do see Gardner playing the 11.
Okay, so if you have your top four as what we discussed,
Yeah,
Sai, Jaiswal, Shubman, and KL. So
yeah.
Curran's coming at 6 or 5?
5.
And you have punt at 6?
Punt at 6. Punt at 6.
Interesting.
I have punt coming at
Interesting.
6. I,
Punt has always played at 5.
he's always played at 5, 100%. And I think the
Yeah.
last time he came to England as well, he scored that century in Edgbaston, I want to say. I think he came in 5 for that one as well.
Yeah.
But I think uh, I maybe just my thoughts on the middle order placement is a little different. I think the middle order placement is much more malleable than the top order placement. I
Fair.
think the
Fair.
difference between 5 and 6 isn't as much as between maybe 2 and 3 or 2 and 4. I would say that it's a little more malleable, and I think you know you. I think Bunt coming in at 6, he could get quick runs as required.
I
I see him coming in at 6.
Yeah. You know what? There's been talk about this before too. I like punt at 6 because he can play that aggressive innings
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
lower order,
yes,
which is when you need that to be played. You know what I
exactly,
mean? Like you
exactly,
think about
exactly.
the greats of the game, Adam Gilchrist coming at 6 or 7, he used to come at 7. The great wicket keepers from the
Yep,
past,
yep,
even
yep.
Dhoni used to come in at 7 and he would make quick runs, right? But I do like that. I do like that. However, they've been really content with having punt at 5, but it's so tricky having punt at 5 because he comes in when you're 3 down, when the game is in the balance, and
It
he plays
is, it
those rash
is.
shots that
Yes,
turns the score from, let's say, like 50 for 3 to 50 for 4 or 5, versus he comes in at 90 for 5, or sorry, 90 for 4, right? Or 50 for 4. And now that innings can be a game changer when at 50 for 3, you need a stabilizer. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, I know it's
a
a
hundred
one
percent.
position, but I feel like he'd be great at a 6 or even a 7. But that will be crazy. But at the same time, you could see him coming at 7 if you play Jadeja at 6.
Yes, I guess I did forget about Jija for a second there, but yes, yes, you are right.
So
You are right.
yeah, and you know what? Talking about Jadeja, I know we haven't talked about all rounders, but he could play as a batter, and that adds another spin. So honestly, I feel like we could go on and on about combinations because you could even talk about Jadeja coming top 6, number 5, number 6, even,
Yeah,
right? Like,
and hey, we didn't even bring up Nitish Kumar Reddy yet. That's all I'm
let's
saying.
Yeah, so let's add the all rounders to this, right? So from the all rounders, if you look at the picks, right, you look at who they picked as all rounders: Jadeja, Reddy, and Sundar. I think, and you could maybe argue Shardul Thakur falls in that category. I know he's more of a bowling all rounder. I don't think you're playing him as an all rounder, right? You're probably playing Shardul Thakur as a fourth seamer.
Yeah,
You're not including him in the top 3. You're not
no,
playing him as an out and out all rounder. If you're on a pitch where it's just seaming conditions, ball swinging around, it's just going to be that. You're probably playing him as a fourth seamer. right?
Yeah, fair
So
enough.
so he's like on the outskirts of on. So if you look at the three that they selected, I think Sundar only plays if it's a pitch where there's there's a lot of spin, right? And
Yeah.
I don't know, like, what would that be? Edgebaston? Would it be Edgebaston? I don't even know the pitches like that.
See, I think honestly, I think Sundar here is a potential replacement for Jadeja if Jadeja
Yeah,
gets
if
hurt,
he gets injured or something,
if he
right?
gets
Yeah,
injured, right?
or
Unfortunately, just
out of
exactly,
form. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay,
exactly.
yeah, okay. So I think we're both there with that. So now you're. So are you playing Jadeja and Nitish Kumar Reddy?
I am. I am. I think.
Okay,
I think.
okay.
I think you have to play Jadeja because of the experience deficiency that you currently have. I think he is a lock, whether that's a forceful lock or not. I think you have to play Jadeja for the experience.
Yeah, 100%. 100% you're playing Jadeja at number 7 or 6, however you want to do it. Again, it'll be super interesting how they pick this batting
Yeah.
lineup. But Jadeja is definitely playing. And then I agree, Nitish Kumar Reddy, his bowling isn't as good as his batting. And that's the debate. And I think that's the reason why Shardul Thakur has been picked.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
if you're good with three seamers, then you play Nitish Kumar Reddy because you don't rely. Maybe he gives you chop out overs, just over here, over there, wait for the new ball kind of thing. But you're not relying on him as a fourth seamer. But then if you needed that fourth seamer, then you're probably playing Shardul at number eight
Yes.
instead of
Yes.
NKR because you take his bowling over NKR's batting in that situation, and then you rely on maybe a 20, 30, or 40 from Shardul Thakur with the bat, right?
And see, just to add to your point there, because I think you hit it right on the nail there with the distinction between Shardul Thakur and Nitish Kumar Reddy. I think as soon as Bumrah becomes unavailable, you have to play Shardul Thakur.
Okay, okay, okay. I see that. I see that. Okay, so we talk about bowlers now because if we're playing Jadeja and NKR,
Yep.
that leaves us with three bowlers 9, 10, 11.
Yes.
So I don't, if we just have three options right now,
Okay.
then there's no Kuldeep Yadav in that lineup.
There's no Kuldeep
which
Yadav in that
which I
lineup.
don't think he plays the series. I don't think he
No.
plays the series at all,
No. No. I
right?
think unless the reading of a pitch is like absolute landmines, which I don't expect it to be. I don't see Kuldeep playing. No, not at all.
Yeah, I don't see Kuldeep playing. So that leaves you with three fast bowlers to choose from. So who's your three? Obviously, Bumrah is a lock, but he may not be a lock for all five tests. So
Yeah.
he's gonna definitely play at least three. So let's just say for the first test, right? Who's your three fast bowlers that you pick? Bumrah is gonna be one. Siraj is gonna be number two, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's going to be one of those scenarios that happened in Australia where you have like whether unfortunate or fortunate people coming in and out, right? So
Yeah.
I think they're going to start off with the Kashdeep. Um, and then depending on how he's doing or his fitness, then I would say they would bring in Prasidh Krishna. The reason, in my opinion, Akashdeep over Prasidh Krishna is I think Akashdeep is able to bring us a little bit of aggression, a little bit of hitting the deck a little bit harder. So I would go with the Akashdeep. I know Prasidh Krishna gets you that extra bounce, but I've said this before. I don't know why. I don't rate Prasidh Krishna too highly.
Really?
I just think he is a little too kind for a fast bowler.
He's the highest wicket taker in the IPL right now, or at least top
I
three.
I get that. I get that. I get that. But
Yeah,
I think for test bowling is all about grit and aggression in my eyes.
yeah.
Grit and aggression.
100%.
And
No, no.
and I think
Yeah.
Akashdeep just outsways him a tad bit on that realm. That's the only reason I'm preferring Akashdeep starting over Prasidh Krishna, at least in my eyes. What are your
Okay.
thoughts on the bowlers?
Okay. So you got Bumrah, Siraj, and Akash Deep as your three
Correct.
fast.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna go Bumrah, Siraj, and Arshdeep Singh.
Jeez. Okay. Okay.
I'm
Okay.
going.
Okay.
I'm going left arm. I think India's been missing a left arm in Test matches for years. Shout out Zahir Khan. Shout out Ashish Nehra. Shout out RP
Yeah.
Singh.
Oh
Like,
my
if you
gosh.
think about
Yes.
the recent past, who have you had?
No one,
I
and
can't even
especially
think.
in tests. In tests, you did
Yeah,
not have no one. Yeah.
like Unadkat. I think that's the most recent. And maybe did Khalil play Test?
No, I don't think Leo played tests.
No, it's I think
Maybe
Unadkat's the
India
only.
A, but yeah, but that's
Yeah,
it.
I can only think of Unadkat. I can't think of another left armer that we've given a cap to recently.
So I guess the overall concern of Arshdeep Singh is his
Yeah.
fitness. You think he's up for the mark?
So there has been talk about that, but there've also been talk about the fact that he's played a county season last year.
Very true.
He
Very true.
played county cricket in England, 4-day matches. Sorry, which and he did really well. He had great spells. There were some highlights. There's some videos that went viral of his wickets at the county championship, and I think
Oh
that
yeah.
experience is going to help him a lot. And I have a feeling that is why he even got picked in this test squad. Because you're absolutely right. I didn't think we talked about this many episodes ago where, hey, why isn't Arshdeep being picked for test match? And then we noticed that he doesn't have a lot of red ball experience. But I do feel his stint in county cricket is helped with this selection right now.
Okay, interesting, interesting. So you see preference over Prasad Krishna and Akashdeep for Arshdeep Singh, and at least the first match.
Yeah, at least the first
Okay,
match.
fair enough.
Because I
And
think
I
Siraj
yeah,
is going to play the first two or three test matches for sure.
no one can stop Siraj from playing. This guy he just wants to get out there. I know that.
But that's the grit and the aggression that you're
Yeah,
talking about, and
yeah.
you get that with Siraj every single spell.
A little bit over too. He'll be his first over, and he's already throwing the ball back at the batsman.
uh,
uh, that's a good
yeah,
one. But no, I think you raised a very fair point with with the Arshdeep Singh's county season. I think 100%. I've seen some of those viral clips as well with that swing and seam he's been getting. So it'll be interesting to see his performance in England because that's a I think that's part of the new chapter that we talk about where if he clicks in Test cricket, to your point, a left arm weapon India has not gotten for a while, and it could unlock some great potential for Team India.
yeah, especially against those the English batters such as Ollie Pope and Joe Root, getting that left arm in swing to them will be
Yeah.
key to get them out, I feel. So yeah, I think if he's able to do well, that will solve a lot of problems for India. So let's talk about this. If Bumrah doesn't play, who are you playing instead of Bumrah?
So if Boomer doesn't play, then I think like at least in my combination, that's when I would have brought Arshdeep Singh, for example, right? Um,
Interesting.
um, again, I think for that inclusion, I think the management would also perhaps even consider Prasad Krishna because obviously I think you're confirmed with him on his fitness level and his ability to bowl those long
Yeah,
spells.
yeah.
Maybe Arshdeep Singh, maybe not initially, but I think it's going to be one of those unfortunate scenarios that happen in Australia where you're going to have to rely on people to step up, right? And it's one of those situations where it is a new team, it is a new environment, so you would hope that the players are excited to step up, right? To step in Bumrah's shoes, it's incredibly hard, but it's also exciting as well when it's a series in England. What are your
Yeah, I
thoughts?
think yeah, I think it's going to be very pitch dependent and
Uh-huh.
conditions dependent. I feel like if it's swinging conditions through and through, I don't think Prashant Krishna plays
No.
because he's more of a hit the deck bowler. And also have a feeling that is why Harshit Rana is not in the squad because he's not
Very
a
good point.
swing bowler. But when you talk about Akashdeep, Mohammad Siraj, and Arshdeep Singh, they're all swing bowlers. So I think if it's swinging conditions, I think those are your three. Obviously, Bumrah is always going to play when he can, right? But I'm talking about the others. So I think those three for sure. And then Prasid Krishna is probably going to play on those wickets where it may be flat on a few days, and you need that hit the deck bowler. You need that extra pace, which Krishna has. So I think that's where he warrants his selection.
Yeah, yeah, no, 100%. I'm completely aligned with you on that one.
Awesome, awesome. Awesome. So I think we got our bowlers to a lock in terms of you're picking between I also feel like all of these bowlers will get a chance at some point during the
Yes.
series.
Yes,
I think
I
they're going
agree.
to rotate unless someone like is completely in form and is just taking wickets consistently. I otherwise I see them switching bowlers, rotating them throughout the five tests.
No, exactly, exactly. Okay, I think you're right there. We did get a lock on the bowlers. I know we didn't fully talk about the England squad yet, but looking at the English squad, looking at India's squad, it being in England, who do you think has a slight edge just based on what's on paper right now?
So
Okay.
between the teams, I would say from the fact that they're playing in England, England has the edge. Like this is an
Yeah.
opportunity for England to like win a test series, not just win, but like hammer India because India is
Yeah.
coming with a fairly inexperienced squad. But at the same time, on paper, like that's a squad. I truly believe India has a squad, even though they're missing Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma. I think they have a squad. I think the fact that we're struggling picking an 11 is signs that they have a lot of options to pick from. And I think it'll be all conditions based. I think if there's any days where you have flatness in the wickets, I think that's where India can shine. The batters can shine. If there is swing, I think both teams are going to be suspect because I don't think the England batting lineup is that good in swinging conditions.
Hmm. No, no, I agree with you on that front. Where I do also give the slight edge to England, and I know we were talking a little bit off air on this on the weekend, but England's bowling against Zimbabwe was interesting to say the least. I'm not sure if they'll have the exact same squad, but it didn't seem as threatening as it usually is, at least in my eyes.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. They're definitely trying some players. Sam Cook,
Yeah, yeah,
who's been a first class player for a long time. He finally got to play. It's interesting on their selections as well, because they've been off late going for bowlers that are hit the deck or fast out and out fast bowlers. Sam
yeah,
Cook is the complete opposite. He's more in the mold. Again, I say this from a standpoint of the type of bowler. When I say Jimmy Anderson, I'm saying swing bowler,
yeah,
medium pace, not fast express pace, right? Um, so it was a very interesting selection, and I also feel it's a selection keeping in mind that Chris Wokes is on the twilight of his career as well, and
yes,
and he's a swing bowler, so they need at least one or two swing bowlers in that squad, and I think they're looking at Sam Cook as that potential swing bowler at the top. And
hmm
then you have your Gus Atkinson, you have your other bowlers. I think they tried Josh Tong again. In that again fairly inexperienced, right? So this is why I say it's very pitch dependent because I feel the
yeah,
Indian batting lineup can stand up to England's bowlers. I don't
yeah,
see an out and out threat in that not Indian, but in the England bowling setup
yeah. I agree with you
because
on
you don't
that
even have
one.
Mark Wood. There's no Mark Wood.
Yes, yep. I was just gonna say you don't have you don't have that scare factor that Mark Woodward
Yeah,
brings at times, right? And to your point, I think the Indian batters are at the point now in their professional career where they're not afraid to go at it, right? Initially, they may have been, especially perhaps you knew you're gonna face like, Jimmy Anderson with Stuart Broad, for example, right? But I think now with the limited quarterly bowlers that England have, Indian batters are not afraid to just go at it and not afraid of failure, which I think is super important in
yeah,
England conditions.
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. All right, cool. Anything else you want to talk about with the squad?
No, no, no. I think we covered it all. I think from top to down, I think yes, there are the glaring exclusions, but these glaring exclusions also allow for flexibility, allow for people to move around. So I think it is an opportunity, and as we said, it's a 5 match series. So and we know five test matches is a long, long time. So I think we'll see different players in different positions, but hopefully by the end of it, it's a great chapter to India's start.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you there. So I want to do something fun. I think we should do this before we sign off. We should name an 11. I think it'll be fun to force ourselves to name an 11 because I know we've been like talking about who we think makes it based on combinations and stuff. But first test match, I don't know where they're playing the first test match. I don't think it's Lords. but wherever it is in England, first test match, who is your 11? And
Okay.
we can go openers. So we'll go openers,
Yeah.
you first and me, and then we'll go the rest of the batters, and then we'll go all rounders and bowlers.
Perfect. Perfect. Sounds good to me. And I love the idea. So, okay, we'll stick with what I said earlier: Sai Sudarshan and Jaiswal, starting it up for Team India.
Okay. So I'm gonna go with Jaiswal and Abhimanyu Iswaran.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Good call. Interesting call. Okay. For me, one down, I would like to see Shubman Gill, and number four, I would like to see KL Rahul.
Okay. For me, one down, I got Sai Sudarshan, and number four, I got Shubman Gill.
Okay, okay. Number five and six. Five, I'm gonna have Gardner, and six, I'm gonna have Rishabh Pant.
All right. So five, I got Rishabh Pant, and six, I got KL Rahul.
Okay, okay, nice, nice, nice. So I'm at seven now. So seven, let's go seven and eight. So seven, I will go with um Nitish Kumar Reddy, and I'll go with Jadeja.
Okay. So I'm gonna go with Jadeja, but I just had a change of mind. I'm gonna play Jadeja at six. I'm gonna put KL at five. Okay.
Okay,
Jadeja at six. I'm playing punt at seven.
seven. Okay,
I'm playing punt at seven. And then I'm playing so number eight, this is
number
where
eight.
I have a toss up. This is where I have a toss up. I have a
Okay,
toss up
let's.
between Shardul Thakur and Nitish Kumar Reddy, but we're naming an 11. So I'm gonna go with, I'm gonna go with Nitish Kumar Reddy. I think I'm gonna
Okay,
trust in Nitish
okay.
Kumar Reddy. Yeah. Which means you're having a batter at eight, but uh, uh, yeah, it's tough. Picking an 11. So there's
You're
eight. So
picking
now
11.
nine,
You're picking 11.
9, 10, 11. 9, 10, 11.
No, no. Hey, I'll just for the Charlotte Tucker fans out there, he's our
Yeah.
secret weapon. All right, we're not going to show our
Yeah.
cards. We're not going to show
12th
our
man,
cards
12th
right
man.
away. Oh yeah, we're not going to show our cards right away. Right? Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm at 9, 10, and 11 from my end. So I guess these would be the bowlers. So from my end, let's go with uh Akashdeep, Siraj, and Bumrah.
Okay. I'm going with Bumrah, Siraj, and Arshdeep Singh.
Love it. I love it.
Okay.
Okay,
All right. There's
I
our
think,
11s.
and here's the thing: I would not be just disappointed in your 11.
I'm thinking about my 11, and I think your 11 too. I don't know if we have enough bowling. So we are relying.
We
Here's
are
the
relying
stalwart.
on NKR. We are relying on
We are
NKR for
relying
sure.
on NKR. That's what I'm saying.
It
But we're
is
also relying on Jadeja.
100% to get those overs in. hundred
Yeah,
percent.
as your spinner, your holding spinner. Maybe he tries to attack to take wickets too, but I think he can play that role. I don't think I have doubts in Jadeja, but NKR as your fourth seamer, I don't know. That's where I'm like, maybe Shardul plays
Potentially, because Sharda will put in the
because
work.
you're not playing an out and out bowler at eight. You're not
Hmm.
playing an out and out bowler. You have to
Hmm.
play a bowler who can bat. NKR is a batter who can bowl.
Yes,
You know
yes.
what I
No,
mean?
I completely agree with that distinction. 100%.
Yeah. Jeez, I
100%.
think I'm a switch. I think I'm switching. I think I'm going Charlotte at eight. Sorry, I'm going Charlotte at eight.
Little last minute change on the game
Yeah,
sheet. Cross the
yeah.
name.
Last of the change. Last of the change. 10 minutes to go before the toss. Flies in, what's his name?
Sikandar
Raza,
Raza.
Sikandar
Sikandar
Raza.
Raza. Yeah, 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 yeah. No, no. Okay, I think yeah, I think you do raise a good point of Shardul Tucker's inclusion, but I'm still gonna stick with mine. I'm still gonna stick with mine. I think that maybe I'm over reliant on India's bowlers, but I think it's I think we did have a disappointing to a certain extent test series down under, but I do think in England conditions the bowlers that we have I think are we'll be able to get some wickets hopefully.
And I think there's a high potential that Washi is going to play as well. If you want to play three seamers and two spinners, there's a
Yeah, yeah,
high
yeah.
chance Washi is going to play
No,
at least one match.
and whenever Washi does play, we at
Yeah.
least in my eyes I am somewhat comfortable in his batting. You know, it's not where it's like, oh, he's about to get out now. You know, he's a pretty reliant batter, at least in my eyes. So, and he's able to spin he's able to spin long spells as well. So, no, I think we'll definitely see him as well. But I think to your earlier point, I think where and how India plays Shardul Thakur is going to be super, super interesting.
Yeah, I think that number 8 spot is going to be a surprise for many. In fact, yeah, number 7 and number 8. I think that's going to be a surprise for many, and I can't wait. But I think we can name our 11s. Even though we made a couple changes, we may named our 11s, and it's going to be amazing to see what India lay out on the field on day one.
Yeah, yeah, I can't wait for the series.
Awesome. We'll see you when the series starts. Until then, that's Stumps.